So go to the, go to the events. Um, During our cohort two, one of the people within the cohort knew a lot about the different side events. So they sent out like kind of a form with a big list of side events. Bitcoin Startup Labs also had a big list of side events, right? So then you can kind of look through these side events and basically find interesting ones that are relevant to what you're building, right? So for us, we're doing a little bit of AI stuff. So we went and found a couple of the AI side events at ETH Denver. We also just looked through the side event thing and just be like, hey, what is a really interesting side event that I think would be cool? And we just like looked for some of those and went to those, right? And then just talked to some people there. And it all kind of contributes, right? Because we actually ran in. So we at the Bitcoin Startup Labs main event, we ran into people we met at some of the side events. So definitely encourage you to go to the, if you can go to the, go to the big conferences, right? Check out the side events. If you, for some reason, you can't make it, there's probably other smaller conferences or other events that will happen. So try to make one. Just try to go one of them if you can. They're helpful. So yeah, so the events are really good. And again, you'll have your fulcrum, right? Remember, you'll have your kind of fulcrum work done and some of that foundational work done, right? So you're going to have some more, content to bring with you to these, events, right? Like, you be a little bit more like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. That some of that stuff will be ready, right? If it isn't ready yet, it's a great place where you can just talk to interesting people, right? And that might help you, like coalesce your ideas into that fulcrum form, right? So we actually had a lot of people who, through our cohort, this is several months ago, who didn't necessarily fully figure out their fulcrum and their startup, uh, even by the end of our cohort, but they just kept on doing stuff, and now they're, now they figured it out, right? So like, um, so that's just one thing I want to say. If it to kind of help provide some perspective, don't be stressed or uh, feel bad about things. If you don't have them figured out, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time, and there's also multiple of these that you can go to. So there's events, and then we have also advisors and angels. So that's another one. So when you're kind of out there and you're talking to when you're talking to users, right? You're going to be talking to users. One thing you can do that we started doing is you might run into some users who you're like, okay, maybe they're going to be like a power user, right? Or you might run into some people who are like really good at marketing or like really good at some area where for your jigsaw, you're like, hey, like we could add someone like this to our jigsaw, right? So like when you're kind of out there in the wild talking to people, one of the things that we did and can be done is you can start build out your advisory board, right? Or like, some of them might be like, hey, this is so interesting, like save some space in your round. I want to invest, and they can be your angels, right? But like you can build out your advisory board, right? And basically there's like a very standard contract you can kind of send to them, and basically they can join as an advisor, and they can kind of help you. You can kind of build out your advisory board around the skill set of your team if and kind of help them help you fill out your jigsaw a little bit, right? So like we brought in some advisors who were really good on the marketing side, for example, right? So so yeah, that's another thing that we did that stemmed from the program, because we're out there talking to all these different people, right? Like it stemmed from the program. Is Yeah, if you find people who could match even more than a user, you can have that conversation with them. Okay, so anybody here part-time? If you're part-time, raise your hand. Nobody's part-time. Everyone's full-time.
I mean, we're not supposed to be part-time, right?
Well, no, you could be part-time, but it's like 30 hours part-time.
All right.
That's a nice one.
But yeah, Richard, some people are transitioning. Some people are, have a, running business or like an ongoing concern, but they're looking to do a pivot into Bitcoin, right? Or upgrade
Yeah.
to Bitcoin, so to speak. So yeah, there are some people doing a couple things, right, at the moment.
Got gotcha. Nice. Okay, you guys have learned. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I was gonna say basically if you know if if there are people who are part-time, this sounds like a lot, right? Like, it can be done. It can be done. Uh, you know, w- we did it, but I think it's good that you guys are full time because it's much, yeah, it's much better. It's much better that when you're full time. So actually, for the last 3 weeks of the program, I stopped part time and I went full time, and it made a huge difference. But if you're in the period of transition, it's going to be very intense, but it can be done. Just find that high leverage, like for this type of stuff, right? Just find that high leverage point. It'd be like, hey, I'm just going to go to that big conference, right? And then you're going to hit, in 3 days, like 5 different events, right? And just hit the high leverage points. But that's good. Most of you guys are full time, so you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Richard. And guys, it's if you put in a solid 30 hours for the first 4 weeks and learn the science of the fulcrum and apply it, then you'll be in a better position, like Richard, right, to decide, all right, well, this really is a startup idea, and then it's much easier to go full time.